Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? This is your girl, Splendora Styles. I hope y'all are doing alright today. I am doing alright today. Okay, so jumping right into today's toxicity is for a lesson, not for a lifetime. It is called Lied to, Dis-A-Vowed. What am I talking about? This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so in the last live, I think it was my salmon circles, and I'm going to apologize in advance. We have a high traffic area right now. It was quiet until 1 minute ago exactly. But anyway, I talked about, as I've done before, about the contracts, the agreements that you make, and how doing so, consciously or not, can change the trajectory of your life. So, a lot of people since then that I've talked to, they've had some questions, and they've had some just wondering exactly how that's done. And I'm going to attempt to explain it now. Lord, this noise. I almost want to do this later, but I know I don't have time. But anyway, so you have to be mindful of the contracts that you make. When you agree with something, when you say, yeah, I get it, I understand, make sure, or try to make sure, that you don't take that into your belief system. Because understand and remember that your belief system is a silent ordering mechanism. It's always in operation. It never sleeps. It never takes a break. It's always working. It's always working to bring to you what you believe you are supposed to have. So that's why people have different things, because people have different things that they want. They have different needs, like I am an introvert, even though most people wouldn't call me one. When I'm on duty, when I'm out in public, I'm an extrovert. But understand, I grew up in an extrovert family. My mom and dad were extrovert introverts. They worked hard, they dealt with people, but for the most part, they really just kept to themselves. They didn't go out a lot. They didn't socialize a lot. I think that was the introvert side, but they knew how to get along with people. They knew how to handle themselves in society and stuff. So they were kind of like extroverts. I mean, they were active. They weren't lazy, But with me, I'm an introvert. I can hang with myself. I'm my own best company sometimes, And it's not because I don't like people. It's just that that's just the life that I have. So naturally, my propensities are different from someone who's an extrovert. Okay? And we are who we are when we're born. And we see things and hear things, and we are given who we are. Our parents, teachers, preachers, doctors, lawyers, entertainers tell us who we are. And we can make an agreement with that. If it sounds like who we are in the moment, we say, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's who I am, or who I want to be, right? When you say that inwardly, you don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to say it out loud. It becomes part of your belief system. So your belief system is responsible for bringing things or allowing things into your reality. And if you take the vow of poverty, like a lot of monks and religious folk, they turn God away. Because God said that He gave us Jesus so that we would have life and have it more abundantly. And that clause, that contract with us is in effect, whether we know about it or not. God gives us air, food, life, friends, money, whatever we think we deserve, God gives it. Now, if you take you let someone talk you out of what's rightfully yours, that's on you. But as a child, you don't know that. We didn't know that. We didn't know the things that our parents told us, whether it was true or not. We didn't know if that was something we needed to adhere to. But since they were the ones feeding us, since they were the ones clothing us, we trust what they say. Whether or not we like it, we accept it. Okay? So a lot of times people can grow up like their parents. Whether you want to accept it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, you are like the people you came from. The old saying is, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, is true to a degree. Now, the apple can fall on the ground and roll down the hill and it's still going to be an apple at the end of the day. Okay. So, we can take on beliefs that navigate our life. When you take the vow of piety, I think that's what it's called. I hope I'm saying it right. But when you take the vow of not eating good, living good, being healthy, being well, you can take on those things inadvertently and unconsciously. You have your conscious, your unconscious, and your subconscious. Okay, your subconscious run your life. So if, let's say, you're watching, in the old school days when I was younger, they say, okay, look to your left, look to your right. One of y'all are going to get cancer. Okay, I'm glad I saw that commercial after I learned not to agree with things. Because somebody's going to say, yeah, it's probably going to be me. So now you started the trajectory of you getting cancer. Or just like the one they have out now with that doctor, I'm not going to say his name, right? But he said, I want all of my, everybody who has diabetes, including you. Well, I don't have diabetes, and I'm not going to get it. Because I know what it takes to get it. I know it runs in my family, so I know certain things I have a natural weakness for, so I can't do certain things. I can't eat certain things. It's not a part of my lifestyle because I don't want to get on that path. I don't want to get to that place in life, right? And, when I was younger, I used to think life was so unfair. Oh, why this person has this and I don't? Why this person can do this and I can't? Why this person drives this and I don't? You know what I'm saying? And I really thought life was unfair. Then, the religious folks sometimes, the metaphysicals all the time would say, well, you're doing it to yourself. It's your fault. But they didn't tell me how. So of course I refute that. I couldn't take responsibility or accountability for it because I didn't believe that it was my fault. It wasn't until I became aware, until I became awakened, until I learned better so that I could do better, because that's a lot of people, they learn better, but they choose not to do better so they don't get better. But when you learn better, as my mother told me, and I agreed with it, so that's why I can accept it, when you learn better, you do better. Okay, so once I learned that don't agree with what you hear, do not agree with what you see, because that becomes part of you. So when I saw that little commercial, one of you is going to get cancer. Then they had the other one, 2 out of 3. Okay, so I knew not to agree with none of that. That's not going to be my destiny. That's not where I'm supposed to end up. And I'm not, please, because sometimes people can take the wrong idea of what I'm saying and think that I'm putting them down. No, I'm just giving information so that you can get better. That's the hope of what I'm doing, because I've had to learn things. Trust me, the teacher always gets the lesson first. So with the amount of knowledge that I have, I've been through a lot. Okay, just say it like that. So I understand and I get it. Okay, so I'm not putting anybody down for where you are in life. I'm just showing you and helping you as much as I can with what has helped me. Okay, so once I face the fire and realize I'm doing it to myself, I'm the one that's putting me in this position, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how I was doing it. And sometimes, no matter how much I tried not to, I end up back in this situation. I end up back at this point, right? And then my guilt, my anger, my shame, everything reinforced it, because I'm dwelling on it rather than the solution. Then when I learned to be solutions oriented, I learned not to look at the problem only, or solely or mainly. I learned to look at the problem, assess what it is, and assess what the solution would be, what course I need to take. All right, sometimes that worked, and because I'm limited in knowledge, sometimes it didn't. So back to the drawing board. But sometimes things can go on in your life, and you get frustrated, you get fed up, with yourself, and you're trying to figure yourself out. So let me explain to you what I have learned. So I've learned that sometimes your affirmation, like people say, do affirmations, and we know repetition helps out. But some of us have been affirming things for a very long time, and it doesn't stick. It doesn't take place because, one, there's no reference point inside of you for your subconscious to attach this amendment to. Okay? The contract that you first made, whenever you made it, however young you were or whatever was going on, and when you realize better and this is not something you want, then let's say, for instance, if you have a contract, you just like your daddy and your daddy was a drunk. You just like your mama, she was an alcoholic, she was a drug addict or something negative, she was lazy, she wasn't good with money or whatever. And children naturally want to emulate their parents, period, whether they are good parents or not. That's a natural tendency for a child to do. Okay, so when you get older, you realize you really don't like drinking. You just did it because everybody in the family did it. You really don't like being broke. You just doing it because everybody else in the family is broke, or your mom or your dad or whatever, right? But you had made that agreement to be like them. When somebody said that you was like them, you said, yeah, okay. It's just like F1, F2, and all the buttons on the top of your computer. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes in that computer when you hit F1. Just like we don't really know what is going on behind the scenes in our life when we say, okay, yeah. When we just randomly say, yeah, you're right. Because that means that somewhere in your belief system you agree with that. And then you may be agreeing with the wrong thing. Like for someone who's a thief to get caught stealing, that was wrong. Someone who's a thief that got away with stealing, that's right. You see what I'm saying? So when a thief decides, like they say in the Bible, he let who stole, those who stole steal no more. Okay, when he makes a resolution and an evolution, he's not going to steal anymore, his belief system is going to kick against that. The people around him is going to kick against that. Because the people who are around him to enforce that contract that he made or she made to be a thief. Okay, stick with me, all right? It's a little bit long, I get it. Okay, so if you have made an agreement to be anxious, nervous, worrywart, somebody taught you that, you saw that, you took that in, okay? Now, like I said, we can say our affirmation, but for some reason it doesn't work because we don't believe in the affirmation as much as we believed in the first declaration or the first contract. The affirmation, the feeling, the desire is not as strong. Okay? Now, when you're dealing with stuff like that, it can appear like you're never going to win this battle. It can appear like you're never going to win this war. Okay? But you are. Okay? Now, the easiest way around this, other than repetition, and in my mind it works better than repetition, is when you say your affirmations. Okay, wait a minute, hold up. Sometimes it's not about what you're saying that you are, but it's about saying what you're not. I'm not this anymore. I'm not a drunk anymore. Okay? You're saying that in your conscious, awake, walking around life every day. I'm not a drunk. Okay? And in this moment, that's the decision that you made. I'm not a spendthrift. I'm not a prostitute. I'm not uncommitted. I'm not, I don't know why I can't think of stuff right now. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Whatever traits that you have that you don't want, when you are conscious and aware that this is not what you want, you say, I don't want this anymore. I fall out of agreement with this. I fall out of alignment with this, or I come out of alignment with this thought process, this paradigm, this belief, right? Now, again, with some things, depending on how deep they are in your DNA. And what I mean by DNA, not just you, but the people that came before you. Because it may be something like they call a generational curse, or a generational tendency, generational blessing, legacy. Okay, you may have inherited a legacy of failure. You may have inherited a legacy of illness. You may have inherited a legacy of poverty. So it's up to you, now that you understand that and you know that, it's up to you to break this cycle. It's up to you to come out of this season of your life and to bring the rest of your family out of it as well. Okay? Now, when you're making your affirmations and confessions and declarations and stuff, sometimes it feels and sounds like a lie. Okay? You have your pain of the past kicking against it. You have your guilt. You have your all